Hi, I'm Chris James. You're watching Healthy Alternative, and today we're going to be talking about fasting versus exercise specifically for weight loss. Which one reigns supreme? Now let's keep it a buck. If losing weight was as simple as, eating whatever you want, but just dedicating yourself to the gym, working out, I think we would have much better outcomes holistically. When I was younger, there was a website called MySpace. Some of you all remember it. MySpace was a place for friends. It was kind of like Facebook. And me and my friends will be on there. And at the time, I'm maybe 19, 20. And I'm looking to start working out and getting in the gym. And I came across this guy's page. He was some type of fitness influencer, trainer, or whatever. And I mean, he looked really good. And so I reached out to him, like, bro, what do I need to do to have this type of physique? Like, what matters? What's important? Now, remember, I'm in my very, very early 20s or late teens. I'm still eating McDonald's. I'm still, doing whatever. Sad diet to the max. And this guy told me, he was like, look, man, if you want to be shredded, if you want to have a nice body, really all you need to do is just get in the gym and be consistent. You don't need to really worry about what you eat. I still eat McDonald's. I still do this, that, whatever. And I was just like, okay, cool. Well, I mean, this is coming from somebody who has an incredible physique. So clearly what he's saying has merit, right? And of course, I started working out and I did see some really nice improvements in my health and gains and my strength and everything. But I never really achieved that physique that he had. Maybe I wasn't consistent long enough. Maybe I didn't push hard enough. Maybe I didn't understand the routine and the exercise as well. Now fast forward 15 years and I'm learning about health and wellness, and I'm hearing people still say the same thing. You want to lose weight, you want to get toned, you want to get healthy, whatever. You don't really need to worry about what you eat. It's mostly about, do these exercises, be consistent. Yes, you need to have some dietary changes, but if you eat McDonald's, a couple times a week, whatever, no big deal, right? I think that there is a small community of people where that may be true. And that might be our fitness influencers. That might be the people who see these incredible outcomes. Or it could be that the people who are actually getting these incredible outcomes, still kind of eating whatever they want, they really don't indulge very often. They're telling you can eat whatever you want because they feel like that's what they're doing. But when you really look at their diet and what they're actually doing on a day-to-day, they eat a lot of fruit, they drink a lot of water, they really eat clean, and they're only eating McDonald's or whatever, once in a while. And so today I want to look at which one, now as we look at not really building a physique, but let's say you've got 30, 40, 50 pounds you want to lose. Should you put more energy and effort into the gym, or should you put more energy effort into, fasting, which would kind of be what you eat because you're not eating anything, but it's on what are you putting in your body versus how are you moving your body, right? Along those same lines, one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people, because they've been consuming a lot of this traditional wisdom, they have broken metabolisms. So when you talk about a slow metabolism, this is what we're talking about. See, traditional caloric restriction diets, there's no emphasis on what type of food you're eating. It's really just calories in, calories out. Now, we've done so many videos about calories in, calories out. We actually had a fitness expert come on recently and tell her story, and she talked about how she had to let some of that old traditional wisdom go because, look, it works to an extent, right? But holistically, especially if we're talking about United States as a nation, we're not seeing the results that we should see. So we've got to do something different. So yes, you can look at your calories and you can manage all that, and that's fine if you want to do extra work. What I say is, let's look at the types of food you're eating. If you're eating high water content foods, you're going to get a much better outcome no matter how many calories you're eating versus if you're eating similar calorically dense foods with less water. Now, one other thing, this is kind of a mindset shift thing. I don't want you guys to look at weight loss as simply a calorie thing, right? Because when you look at it just simply a calorie thing, you get into that groove of calories in, calories out, and it's very restrictive. I want to look at your weight loss as a health thing, a holistic health thing. Whenever you're looking to reverse disease, lose weight, improve cognitive function or whatever, you always have to look at it systemically. One of the greatest ways that you can improve your weight loss efforts is to clean up your gut open up your elimination pathways. If you are having regular bowel movements, even when you put something in your body that's not really that great, or your body, doesn't digest it as well, because your elimination pathways aren't gunked up, it still moves through you much more quickly than if your body was all gunked up. So a good detox, along with your fasting, something to specifically open up those elimination pathways, maybe start to massage the gut flora to make sure that you have a good diversity in your gut, to make sure that you're nourishing the healthy bacteria in your gut and there's a healthy balance there. If you focus on that, in conjunction with your fasting, you're going to see the weight loss just start to melt off of you. Now, I created a small chart here because I want to look at what are some of the differences between fasting for weight loss and your traditional exercise for weight loss, and where you might see some benefit of fasting, like holistically. We understand, and we're going to get more into it, but we understand you're going to lose weight faster with fasting. But let's get into the nuance of it. So if we look at hormones, all right, now when we look at fasting, fasting is actually going to lower insulin. It's going to activate human growth hormone, and it's going to burn stored fat. It's going to start using ketones as fuel, right? A beautiful, renewable energy source that your body actually prefers to burn versus glucose. And that all happens with fasting. When we're looking at just, diet and traditional exercise, raising the cortisol levels, it can actually increase hunger hormones. So what we see is you're putting a tremendous amount of stress on your body, right? Now, stress can be good. It can be bad. It's not really a good or a bad thing. It's just about balance. When you are pushing yourself so hard at the gym, plus you have work, plus you have a spouse, plus traffic sucked, you have all of this excess cortisol going into your system, all right? And then that's where the issue comes in. It's the imbalance. So it's a very crude way to get your body to move. And then, of course, what do we see? We see these crazy hunger signals. I know many of you all have gone through this with traditional weight loss, dieting, exercise. You go to the gym, maybe you didn't eat, you forgot your protein, you forgot your whatever, and then you become ravenously hungry. Now, this wouldn't be such a huge deal if there was more focus on eating raw foods, whole foods, things of that nature. But when you become ravenously hungry and you're coming from the gym and there's a McDonald's there, there's a Burger King there, there's a Taco Bell there, there's a Chipotle, what are you going to do? Right? I mean, many of us are in these situations because we do lack some sort of discipline or consistency in our life. So it's not fair to us to put ourselves in positions we're going to be more susceptible to eating and doing the things that put us in the position in the first place to gain 100 pounds over, 50 pounds over, whatever the case may be. So fasting does definitely have its times. There's these highs and lows where you have these cravings and things of that nature. But if you find cravings are a problem, there's ways to mitigate it, but also still maintaining all of the benefits you get with fasting. For example, our appetite suppressant tea. It's a simple, natural, holistic herbal blend that is designed to suppress the appetite. So this is going to help with your cravings. You won't get ravenous. It basically makes the whole fasting process more seamless. And also, it comes in these really short waves. So even if you just know, okay, for the first day or two, I need to chill out, I need to just stay locked in, then after that, you become much more in control. It's not this ongoing struggle. Every time I go to the gym, if I don't eat, I get ravenously hungry, right? So once again, there's pros and cons to both, but I think that we can help mitigate some of the cons, if you will, of fasting, and then once again, get these great outputs from the weight loss. Now, let's look at energy. As I mentioned earlier, when you fast, your body burns ketones. It's literally burning fat for fuel. It doesn't get any better than that. Versus with, traditional diet and exercise, it's going to burn mostly glucose, right? Because you're constantly eating. That's what they teach you. I mean, I remember when they said, if you want to lose weight, you got to eat 6 times a day. How does that make sense? The math's not mathing. So in order to lose weight, I have to eat more. That doesn't make sense until, the pseudoscience comes and they start to manipulate your brain and your critical thinking. And they're like, okay, I think I got it. But What would make more sense? Think about it like if you were a child. A child sees somebody who's overweight. And then you tell the child, okay, in order for this person to lose weight, they have to eat 6 meals a day versus eating 2 or even 1 meal a day. The child's going to be like, that don't really make sense. Okay? We have to stop being manipulated by science. We have to lock back into our critical thinking ability. So what happens with traditional methods, you're going to burn the glucose first, and then the fat loss comes after that. So you have a barrier. Whereas with fasting, you're going to fast for about 12 to 16 hours. Glucose is gone and everything else is fat, right? So that's a big difference. Let's look at recovery, because we have to think about this holistically. You're going to the gym every day. You're working out. You're putting in that effort. You're building consistency, which is a good thing, right? But life happens. Today's not a great day. I had to work late. All of these things kind of start to happen. Life happens. Same thing with fasting. Life is going to happen. But when you do go to the gym and you really work out hard, what happens? You're sore. It's hard to move around. Maybe you're cranky. Whatever the case may be, right? Like you have to kind of rest so you can recover. Not a bad thing. That's definitely good. Rest is important. I still recommend rest on fasting. But with fasting, the body actually heals and rebuilds. So now after your initial detox, where you're probably going to feel a little bit low energy and stuff, as you really start getting into the groove of it, you actually get more energy. You get better performance out of your body. So it's kind of the opposite. There's a point where they kind of are the same, and then they kind of start to go off into two different directions. As your body starts to heal and rebuild, you become stronger, you become more capable. A lot of people think when you fast, you become weaker. That is very temporary, and it's not true weakness. It's literally just your body is putting energy towards healing and restoration. Once you start to get the benefit of the healing and restoration, you no longer have to worry about that weakness. My brother John, he did fasted lifting for 5 to 6 months when he was getting his personal training license. Okay? So he was fasting 5 days out of the week, working hard at the gym, studying, and his performance was through the roof. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about the metabolism and how it slows with traditional caloric restriction. Well, guess what? With fasting, it actually resets the metabolism and it will improve insulin sensitivity. We know insulin sensitivity is tied to diabetes, which is running amok in the United States and I'm sure many other places. So getting insulin sensitivity under control is very important, but getting your metabolism under control is important. You guys know, you've seen that show, The Biggest Loser. They do all this crazy working out, all these crazy diet regimens. They force their body into submission. They lose weight and then they go back home and they blow back up. Why? Because their metabolism is damaged. You cannot force your body into these you can't do it like that. You need to do it gently. You need to do it intelligently. And if you do, you are rewarded for that. That's the reason why that show didn't last and why it didn't work out. People weren't able to maintain. Okay, that's very important. The other thing too, as we talk about maintain, let's talk about sustainability. Fasting versus exercising, which one is more sustainable? I think both of them can be very sustainable. I think people struggle with sustainability holistically, whether it's fasting or exercise. However, when we talk about fasting, fasting's actually very simple. Fasting's not about having to go to the gym, having to get the macros, having to eat before this and eat that and drink this, protein shakes, buy this, da-da-da-da-da. It's very simplistic. And simplicity makes things a little bit easier to sustain. So once you get out of the initial detox symptoms and things of that nature, the body actually adapts very quickly to the fasting lifestyle and it becomes very sustainable. If you've never given your body the opportunity to do it, you might think, no, Chris, fasting seems hard. You just gotta give it a go first. Don't say you can't do it until you actually attempt. Once you start attempting, once you start going through that process, you will see this actually feels a lot more sustainable than I thought. Now, let's look at the gym. It's time consuming. It's very tiring. It can be very hard to maintain, not because like going to the gym or working out for 30 minutes is hard within itself. It's everything leading up to that. It's everything leading up to getting to the gym and being able to put in that, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever the case may be. All right. Once again, life, people, things happen. You go out of town, you this, that. Both are sustainable in their own right, but which one is more sustainable? I think fasting. This is just my personal opinion. I know there's gym rats out there, but guess what? 80% or more of people that I come across, they're not gym rats. You could say that going to the gym is more sustainable. I'm not seeing the outcomes. I'm not seeing the numbers. That's just me, right? You might be in a group of all type of gym rats and everybody is able to sustain it. Now, the last one that I wanted to do, this is a big one. This is loose skin, right? When we look at fasting versus traditional methods, which one produces the most loose skin? Which one has the ability to eliminate loose skin? And if you guys have been watching my content for a while now, you already know fasting has the ability to avoid loose skin completely. Or if you have loose skin, when you do it properly, you can actually eliminate the loose skin you already have. With traditional diet and exercise, loose skin is part of the process. Look at any of those transformational videos on the internet where they talk about this guy who was, 200 pounds overweight and have the music, they got the Rocky music playing and he's hitting the bag and he's working out and he's doing the jumping jacks and he's doing all this stuff. And over time, he's losing the weight and the loose skin is just piling and piling and stacking and piling. That's what happens traditionally, right? I don't need to convince y'all of that. You already know that. If you give your body the proper resources, you're not going to be able to just lose 100 pounds very quickly. I mean, we could do it in under 3 months, but you're also going to be able to avoid the loose skin because loose skin comes from cellular dehydration. And as we talked about in one of our previous videos as it relates to dry fasting actually helps to manufacture metabolic water, but so does water fasting. Right? Water fasting helps to manufacture metabolic water as well. But when you're water fasting, you're only taking in water. So the water you take in, the body will convert into metabolic water. So guess what? You get hydration. Hydration helps you to avoid loose skin because it's the cellular dehydration that causes it in the first place. Now, let's talk about timeline. How long does it take to lose X amount of weight doing, traditional weight loss versus fasting? Who's going to give you, let's say you go all out. You choose one method or the other, you go all out. Who's going to get to the goal more quickly? Well, we know with traditional water fasting, your average weight loss is about 2 pounds per day up to about 2 weeks. Now, after 2 weeks of water fasting, your average goes down to 1 pound per day. And the reason it does that is because what I was talking about earlier, the tightening and the shrinking of the skin. Okay, so your body goes into hyperautophagy and then boom, it cinches you up. You talk about getting snatched from day 14 to day 21, you get snatched. So yes, you do lose a little bit of weight loss, but it's well worth it for the toning that you get. When we look at traditional weight loss, what do the experts tell you? Well, they tell you 1 to 2 pounds a week is really good. Even if we pushed it and we doubled that, you're only talking 4 pounds per week, right? We're talking balls to the walls, 4 pounds per week. Plus, you're still going to be dealing with the loose skin. So 4 pounds per week, if we've been doing it for a month, we're talking about 16 pounds. Which, listen, don't get me wrong, that's incredible. But that's 16 pounds balls to the wall versus, you could probably lose to 16 pounds in the first week water fasting, right? You go to week 2, you're going to lose another 10 pounds or whatever the case may be. Now you get your shrink week. By the third week, by the end of the third week, you've not only lost like 21 to 28 pounds, but you've lost like 5 to 6 inches off your waist easily. Okay. It really doesn't compare. If we look at a year of just being consistent, let's say that you are, you're half stepping it with fasting and you're doing about 10 pounds a month. Okay. That's 120 pounds a year. Do you know the amount of effort and energy it takes for someone doing traditional diet and exercise to lose 120 pounds in a year? Not only that, you're going to be doing saunas, you're going to be using sauna suits, You're going to be really dialed into probably a very bland and boring eating style. You're going to be pushing yourself at the gym probably 1 to 2 hours a day. And then you have to be consistent with that. And then at the end of it, yeah, you're going to look great. You're going to be strong. You're going to be toned. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to have a whole bunch of loose skin. So I think it really just depends on what you want and what you want to get out of it. I'm not here to bash one option or the other. We definitely have seen people be successful with traditional diet and weight loss. I just think that it's far more difficult and doesn't have anywhere near as much benefits as it is if you do it using fasting. And then, of course, look, you could take half the year to fast and half the year to train, and you could get way better benefits from doing it like that than just simply training really hard and doing it the traditional way. So you can certainly add, your gym regimen, exercise to it. I'm all for it. I'm not against it. I'm just literally saying if you chose one path or the other, which one would get you the best outcomes? And when we look at this holistically, fasting wins bar none. Now, clearly I'm biased, but I've never seen anybody lose weight as efficiently and healthily as they do with fasting. I just never seen it. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know when it comes to exercising, working out, it can be a little touchy. People really love the therapy that the gym gives you, and I'm all for that. I'm not against it. But if you guys think the gym is better than fasting or it can outperform fasting, let me know. Let me know some of your experiences in the comment section. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Teach me something. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power, and I'll see you all next time.